CRs and home inspections and what's a realtor or a mortgage lender. It's just all very confusing. But what I love about Gene and his wife Frida is that when you sit down with them and you talk about your personal needs, they help you understand it a lot more. So thank you for sharing all those fun facts, Gene. And if you need anything, Gene's your man. And Frida. All right, so today this brings me, Brian Sodre with Minneapolis. I'm here to tell you that there's a green rush going on. Anybody familiar with the green rush? I know I'm not talking about a Colorado green rush. I see you smiling. The green rush, where you see everything everywhere going green. Why are we all going green? Anybody?
The world needs it.
Environment.
Right. All great facts, all great things that are going on. We're in trouble. Right now, there's things that are changing around us every day based on the decisions that we, as a society, have made. And now we're starting to see the consequences of the decisions that we've made. Here's an example. It used to be that back in the day, grandma and grandpa, maybe none of you have lived this time, but your grandparents did. Where grandma and grandpa had a farm, and the families worked the farm, and they gathered whatever fruits they were able to bear from the land, and they lived off the resources that were natural and near them. Nowadays, it's completely different. Anybody here eat avocados? Right? Has anybody here seen an avocado tree? No, right? I'm from Miami, so
I have seen them down south.
yeah. In Miami, they're a little bit different. They're not those cute little Hass ones that are extra yummy. Those Hass avocados come all the way from Mexico. And while they're delicious, what happens is that now they're having to cut down excessive amounts of trees to fit the space to grow all these avocados to feed not only everybody in America, about 350 million people eating avocado toast, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. But in addition to that, they have to fly it over here, drive it over here, and waste a lot of gas, which lets off a lot of carbon. So we're not very conscious on what our carbon footprint is when we're making your daily normal decisions on the way that we live life. So what can we do to change? Anybody? Okay, so some things that you can take from today that you may or may not be able to apply, but if you at least know about it, you'll be making a difference, because you'll be able to make a better decision on how to live a more sustainable life. For some of us, we love gardening. Anybody here like gardening? You like gardening?
I'm not good at it, but I like it.
I don't have a green thumb either, but I love it. The fact that you can plant a seed in the ground and nurture it and eventually be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor is mind-blowing to me. Now, a lot of us are so busy that it's only convenient for us to go to the grocery store, look at what's available, just pick it out, take it to the cashier, put it in a bag, take it home, prepare it, and then be able to consume it. Again, being conscious of your environment, of what is your effect by not growing your own food, is the first step. Just knowing about it. When you're able to, if you can, whether it's you, give your grandkids, your kids, your brothers and sisters some responsibilities. Make them grow the food. Something, somehow, we need to start changing the way that we make decisions to better impact our environment. Another good one is capturing water and repurposing. I've heard this so many times, and I want to make sure that tonight is clear. Capturing your own water is not illegal. All right? So if you have a roof, you have a house, and you have gutters, you're able to put one of these bad boys right at the end of it and redirect the water wherever you need it to go, whether it's for your garden, for your garden, or to Use it for drinking if you know how to do that. It can be a little complicated, but YouTube really helps. That's a great way to also live more sustainably instead of going to the grocery store, buying that nice old big old pack of 24 pack of water, perfectly encased in these plastic bottles that end up in a dump and takes hundreds of years to decompose, right? Better options. It's all about better options. Recycling, upcycling. Man, this guy right here, he needs his own day of speaking, but he does just that. He finds wood that has come off natural resources, has died out, but is still very durable, and he makes furniture out of it. That right there is living a more sustainable life. And the more of us that do it, the more cost effective it becomes. The truth is that the reason prices are where they are, or the way that we live, the things that we buy, they're so readily available, is because we're not living a realistic lifestyle. We want everything that we see, yet it's not necessarily readily available to us. It's readily available in India, it's readily available in China, it's readily available in Europe, and it has to transfer all that to get to your hands. And it's such an impact on our environment. And all of that helps us reduce, by making these changes, helps us reduce our carbon footprint. So what does this have to do with tiny houses? Tiny houses right now is just a movement to help improve the way that we live our lives. You see, a lot of us, who here is a homeowner? Anybody? Okay, we got a few homeowners. You probably have a house, and I'm just basing this off of averages, anywhere between 1,500 square feet to 2,500 square feet. Pretty accurate? More or less? You know, you got a big house, Doc. And when you really sit down with it, I like everything. I'm a general contractor. I look at houses, build houses, remodel houses. And when you look at the floor plan, you really start to look at all these wasted spaces that we're not utilizing, unless it's to fill up with things that we don't need, right? Anybody guilty of overstoring things? Any orders in here? Orders?
I do. Say too much.
So, why did I start Minneapolis? What led me to this? When I was 19, I was still living with my mother and going to college, and I always worked hard. I started working probably 12 years old, cutting grass around the neighborhood. And I saved some money, and I told my mom, I'm ready to be a homeowner. So we looked and looked and looked. I couldn't buy anything for what I had. So I said, Mom, I got a great idea. Let's build an addition to your house. That way I can rent it out and I can make some money. She's like, okay. So I hired a general contractor. We did architectural plans, and they built this unique little space with a 1-bedroom, a closet, a small kitchenette, and a bathroom. It was no bigger than 244 square feet. And it was the most useful space that I have ever seen in my life. I furnished it with these this bed that had drawers underneath it. So it was the most useful space, and because where she lived was located right next to Florida International University down in Miami, Florida, all the university students loved it. It was affordable, it had everything that they needed, and it was a great place for them to live. Whether it was temporary, they were going through a transition, it was their first place that they ever rented before, or because they were in school and they had a tight budget. So that kind of started the whole idea of living small. As my wife and I continued to travel around the world and experience so many unique places, we realized that, has anybody here been to Miami? Everybody there is always looking sharp and good, and they got an outfit for every single photo that they've ever taken in their life. So we used to be those people. We used to go to the airport with 2 bags filled with clothes. Everywhere we went, we had an outfit for every day, for every photo, until we started traveling enough where we said, okay, we can't keep doing this. This is way too much. And we ended up becoming backpackers. And through that learning, we ended up staying in a lot of places that were small spaces that were just enough for what we needed. At that point for us, it was a vacation. We didn't need this grand 5-star hotel where we're gonna spend a couple hours in to shower, sleep, and yeah. Okay. So that helped us open up our vision to where we are today. My wife and I had always talked about, why don't we do a small community of tiny houses? And I hear that so much from many of you and many others that I've spoken to. Why aren't we doing a small community of tiny houses? Well, guess what? I strapped on my boots and I said, we're going to do this. And luckily today, we found a place that we can do it. Here in Brevard County, not too far off of Cocoa, not far off of 520 and 95. I encourage you to come by and check out what we're doing. And what we're doing is something special. We're reducing our carbon footprint by having more sustainable housing, by using more efficient materials that are not only longer lasting. So when you're building a house, and I think both of them talked about it today, you can build a house made out of paper. How long is that paper house going to last you? Not very long. When you build a house that's done correctly, that's done well, it's built to last for generations. Meaning you don't have to spend more money, time, or natural resources to be able to build it. That's part of sustainable building. Not only that, but the material structures that we use, they significantly reduce the amount of waste compared to your standard ways of building. So what we're doing is something special. It's something different. It's not necessarily existing right now other than tiny houses on wheels. And that to me is more of an example of a paper house, where you're building something that's great, it's efficient, it's useful at the time, it's cost effective. It's not going to last very long. With Minneapolis, we build houses on American soil where you get to own your house, you get to own the land. You don't have to worry about any sort of lot rent fees, and your house continues to appreciate in value. So that is what we have for you today, and I'd love to open it up if you have any questions about tiny houses, sustainable building. I'd love to open it up for a few minutes for you guys. Any questions for me?
What about hurricanes?
Great question. We actually build our houses that can withstand up to Category 5 storms. And that is important to me because I grew up in Miami, Florida. And I don't know how familiar you guys are with what happened down there back in 89. Not 89, sorry, 92. I was about 3 years old, and our house got wiped off the map. And luckily, my mom took her friend's advice to go and stay with her. So we lived a rough time, not that I can remember much of it, but a lot of stories from there where it was impactful to ourselves that we didn't have a quality home that could withstand Category 5 storms. So because of that, that's one thing that Minneapolis is not willing to sacrifice. It's the quality builds that we're offering. So thank you for bringing that up. Anything else? Anybody else?
What are like the walls? Are they made out of concrete or are they made out of like wood, or what are they made out of?
We have two different products that you can choose from. Structural insulated panels, which are basically 2 pieces of plywood sandwiched between about 5.5 inches of foam. And what that does is 2 things. 1, keeps your house nice and strong for those hurricanes, and 2, keeps your house nice and efficient, which allows you to keep your energy bills down very low. You won't use your air conditioning as much when you have a well-insulated house. And that is part of the sustainable features that I didn't get to touch on earlier, so I appreciate you bringing that up.
Any solar panels?
Solar panels are optional, and I encourage them. You can add them to any of our builds, and we have a step-by-step process for you to be able to select every single upgrade that you like within tiny house construction.
How many people can they fit?
House, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it depends. You know, if you're like my family, Latin, we squeeze as many people as possible.
Yeah. I mean, is it suitable for 3, 4?
So this is the first model that we built, and we'll talk about the different floor plans now. but this is the first model we built. Originally, we're supposed to have 2 levels on this house. The first floor, there's no other photos here, right?
I do have some more, of the inside.
Just give me a second. So it was supposed to be 2 floors, 2 bedrooms, I'm sorry, and 1 bathroom. That second level was supposed to be an open loft, 2nd bedroom. However, because I'm the first one to take advantage of Brevard County's building ordinances to allow tiny houses that are site built, they made it difficult for me because on paper it says that you can only build 500 square foot houses. And we did just that. However, this structure is sound to hold that 2nd bedroom loft. So technically, in a comfortable environment, if your budget was tight and you wanted to keep that efficient living, I would say a family of 4 would fit here comfortably. However, the way that I designed this was for my wife and I, our 2 kids, and our 2 dogs, where they would stay with us down in our bedroom. That's just how we live. And my office would have been in that 2nd bedroom. But we do have different floor plans available. So luckily, because of this house, we're able to get a lot of feedback. Feedback from people that would like to move forward and purchase or build their tiny house, their custom tiny house. So, the 3 options that we offer right now. This is a good time to take out that pen and paper.